Something big is brewing behind the scenes for the Chargers. And if you think this team is playing it safe heading into the draft, get ready to have your mind blown. A surprise signing could completely shift Harbaugh's plans. There's a hole in the roster that no one's talking about, and it could cost us big time. And hold on, because there's a blockbuster trade on the table involving a $120 million receiver. But is it worth the risk? Things are heating up fast and you need to know everything. So sit tight. We've got major news today. Imagine this. You're Jim Harbaugh, the new head coach of the Chargers, dreaming about reuniting with a familiar face from your Michigan days. That reliable tight end who always delivered in big moments. Everything seems to be lining up. The draft is coming. Fans are already picturing Loveland in that powder blue and gold jersey. And then out of nowhere, the team signs Tyler Conklin. A quiet move on paper, but it raises a big question. Does the front office already know that Loveland won't be there when the Chargers are on the clock at 22? Conklin's signing caught a lot of people off guard. Short-term deal, modest value, but it sends a clear message. This is a backup plan. And maybe a much-needed one. Jason Reed from Bolt Beat didn't mince words. If the Chargers signed Conklin, it's because they're hedging their bets for the draft. And it makes sense. Loveland is considered the second best tight end in the class, right behind Tyler Warren from Penn State. With the value of tight ends skyrocketing in the modern NFL, there's no guarantee Loveland will still be on the board. At 22, think about it. Harbaugh knows Loveland better than anyone. He coached this kid, helped shape his game at Michigan. The idea of reuniting them in LA felt like destiny, but the reality is harsh. Signing Conklin is like keeping an emergency parachute ready, just in case the dream scenario slips away. But here's the real question. If Loveland is off the board at 22, what do the Chargers do? Do they reach for another tight end? Trade up to secure him, or just roll with Dissly and Conklin and address another position? This could be the pivot point for the entire draft strategy. What's most concerning is the deeper message behind this move. The Chargers don't make panic signings. If they grabbed Conklin now, it means they've already mapped out different draft scenarios, and they're probably seeing Loveland becoming a hot target for other teams ahead of them in the draft order. And if that's the case, it doesn't matter how much Harbaugh wants him. If another team pulls the trigger first, the dream dies. And while we're still processing this, brace yourself, because this Conklin signing isn't the only red flag about the state of the roster. There are serious gaps that need to be filled fast if the Chargers want to compete in 2025. Conklin's arrival made it seem like the Chargers were just adding depth at tight end. But it actually exposed something deeper, something most fans have been sensing for a while now. This roster still has some glaring holes, and if the team wants to be a contender in 2025, they need to make some big moves, and soon. Let's start with the most obvious one, wide receiver. Yes, Mike Williams is back. A familiar face, a veteran, presence, but let's be real. He's not the same explosive threat he once was. In 2AC24, Williams bounced between the Jets and Steelers without doing much. And now he's essentially stepping in to replace Joshua Palmer, who's off to the Bills. The problem? If Williams and Palmer are essentially a wash, the offense hasn't improved. It's just treading water. Meanwhile, Ladd McConkey is holding it down. A promising young talent, sure, but not someone ready to carry the passing game on his own. What's missing? A game-changing receiver, a legit WR1 who forces defenses to adjust, someone who can take pressure off McConkey and, more importantly, off Justin Herbert. Because let's face it, with this roster as it stands, we're asking Herbert to pull off miracles again. And it's not just the receiving core that's shaky. The backfield raises questions too. Najee Harris is here to be RB1. Great. But who's his partner? Kimani Vidal showed flashes last season, but nothing consistent. And Harris, let's not forget, is on a one-year deal. This draft class is loaded with running back talent, but will the Chargers actually take advantage of it? Now take a deep breath, because the third hole might be the most critical. Edge rusher, re-signing Khalil Mack was a home run, no doubt. But with Joey Bosa gone, the rotation is dangerously thin. Tuli Tuipulotu and Bud Dupree are solid, but not deep enough to withstand the grind of an NFL season. Look at the Eagles. They're elite. Pass rush rotation powered them to the Super Bowl. The Chargers don't have that kind of depth. And if you want to disrupt elite quarterbacks in the playoffs, you can't rely on a thin pass rush unit. The truth is simple. Harbaugh is building something new here, and his roster isn't finished yet. Each of these holes could mean the difference between a Super Bowl run and a top 10 draft pick in 2026. But that's not even the most shocking part of today's news, because there's a massive trade rumor circulating involving one of the highest paid receivers in the league, and it could completely reshape this offense. Here's the deal. According to Mo Moten from Bleacher Report, the Chargers are considering a trade with the San Francisco 49ers for Brandon Ayuk, the star receiver sitting on a $120 million contract. That's right. Ayuk, one of the most dangerous receivers in the league, could be headed to LA. And the asking price? A third-round pick. At first glance, it sounds insane. How does a $120 million player get traded for a mid-round pick? The answer is context. Ayuk suffered a brutal knee injury in 2024, torn ACL and MCL, and missed the entire season. He hasn't even played under his new contract yet. The Niners, in a bit of a cap crunch, might be looking to offload that massive deal while they can still get something in return. So, is it worth a gamble for the Chargers? Let's break it down. Before the injury, Ayuk was on fire. In 2023, he had a career-best season. 1,142 yards, nearly 18 yards per catch, and a bunch of game-breaking plays. A nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators. Now picture him lining up alongside McConkey with Herbert slinging it downfield. That's the kind of combo that changes an offense overnight. But then comes the risk, the injury, the contract, the uncertainty of whether he'll ever be the same player again. That's $120 million tied up in a gamble. And not just the money, it's the cap space and future roster flexibility that gets locked up too. The fan base is split. Some are saying, just do it. A half-healthy Ayuk is better than most WRs at 100%. Others are warning, that contract could be an anchor if he doesn't bounce back. This is the kind of decision that defines a franchise. If it works out, the Chargers become an offensive powerhouse. If it doesn't, they're stuck with a broken contract and limited options. If the Chargers want to make a statement to the league, this is the move. But it has to be calculated, not desperate. The draft is coming, and this trade could be the biggest twist of the offseason. What happens next will define the future of this team. Harbaugh's vision is taking shape, and every decision carries massive weight. Conklin signing, the roster holes, the Ayuk trade rumors, it all points to a pivotal offseason. So the question is, will the Chargers swing for the fences or play it safe? And would you make the trade? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share with other Chargers fans, and subscribe to the channel. Let's ride. This season is about to get crazy.